So I recently did a video on the One Piece live action series I recently released on Netflix, and in that video I said that if the response was good and y'all liked it, then I would do a spoiler video talking more about the in-depth things of the One Piece live action series, the differences from the manga, and how I felt about all of those more nuanced topics. And my god, that is, the response I had to my One Piece video is, to date, the best response I've had to a new video ever. So the first thing I want to do is give a big thank you to everyone who watched that video and gave it such a good response. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that, and all the people who subscribed. I just hope that I can live up to your expectations and provide you videos that get into topics that you care about, especially this video right now, which is going to be about spoilers for the One Piece live action Netflix series. Some few things to go over here if you're going to watch this video. One, this is going to be spoiler filled, of course. This is going to be for the live action series, for the manga, for the anime. If you're not caught up on a lot of those here, I'm not going to get into stuff that's like post-Wano. I don't even think I'm going to be touching anything that's really post-Water 7, to be honest. So if you haven't seen the One Piece live action series and you want to go into that blind, then stop this, go watch that right now, or you can go watch my previous video on my thoughts on the One Piece live action series. But I'm assuming that since you clicked on a video that said spoiler video on it, then you're up for spoilers. So let's get right into that. Now, there's a few topics I really want to touch in on, and one of it's going to be the biggest differences between the manga and the live action adaptation. And I want everyone to remember a few things here before we talk about this. One is that, as I said in my previous video, Oda has many times in many interviews said directly that he understands and is okay with there being adaptational changes. Adaptational changes from a manga to a live action series are inevitable. Manga is a drawn format, but the live action series is dealing with real people in real settings in ways that you cannot communicate the same way as you do in a manga. You can't have the same kind of expressions, you can't have the same kind of action, you can't do the same kind of things you can in a more limited format that you have in live action. Which is why generally I've been against a lot of these adaptations, because I don't feel a lot of places really take to heart what you can accomplish with a live action series, and I never really felt that what you got from a live action series was worth all of the time, money, and effort spent on it. So when you have a live action adaptation making such dramatic changes, like the entire Syrup Village arc being just completely different, going from an island invasion to a slasher movie in a cramped lockdown house, it's very, very, very different. And the tone of it's different too, with actual death that occurs on screen, as opposed to the manga, which had people who seemed like they died and then didn't. Which I'm gonna say right now, that was actually always one of my biggest problems with early One Piece. For a live action adaptation, I feel like that's fine. I feel like that it's good to actually kill people, because it really shows the different stakes of this pirate world, and that if people didn't actually die, people took bombs to the face like Wile E. Coyote and just came back a couple episodes later, it would feel just like nonsense. Because again, the tone of a live action One Piece series is that this is not Wile E. Coyote, this is not the Looney Tunes. This is a more grounded expression of the One Piece story while still trying to maintain the heart and soul of the series, which is an impossible task to me, but they somehow pulled it off. In between the time I made my previous video and now, I've seen a lot more talk about people disparaging the live action series for these changes, which the Syrup Village arc in the manga, let's be real, it wasn't that great. If we're all being honest with ourselves, there's a lot of moments in the Syrup Village arc in the manga where it just kind of feels like it's dragging its feet. Now, of course, there are valid criticisms to put in there too. One being that Usopp doesn't really get a big hero moment in this, and that's definitely true. I definitely feel like Usopp, and in Sanji's arc, Sanji doesn't really get as many great moments to really shine with their with the characters in their homeland, right? Usopp doesn't get those moments where the villagers realize how much they love Usopp and his lies and how much fun he spread through the town. Sanji doesn't get those moments of Zeph appreciating him and telling him how he is the best chef that he knows and that he is proud of him and he wants him to go off and do what he can. I feel like in the latter case, with the Sanji arc, I feel like enough was communicated there, enough was said, and there's an amount of quiet respect and understanding between the characters, but it would have been nice to hear it vocalized, right? I would have loved to see the characters actually say it. Sanji says what he needs to Zeph, but Zeph doesn't really have a moment to say what he feels to Sanji, which I feel like is a missed opportunity. And I feel like could have actually been worked into the series without losing too much. You just have a little bit more, you just change the writing on a few different scenes. Usopp, on the other hand, doesn't really get any kind of moment to show off his cowardness, which doesn't really come through as much. I mean, every time he's running, it feels pretty justified, you know? It's not like him being an out and out complete coward. And also his small examples of overcoming that cowardice and overcoming that weakness also doesn't really pop up much either. You do have small moments that show that he's weak, like that he's not able to really fire a cannon, and they're all kind of flopping around on the ship when they're getting attacked by Garp, but there's not really an emotional payoff to Usopp's arc. But I think that's okay right now for a first season, because when I think about what they did with Kobe in the first couple episodes doesn't really get any kind of emotional connection to Luffy like they have in the manga. When they initially depart after Luffy has beaten X and Morgan, it doesn't feel that, you know, they were very close to begin with. It feels like they met, they hung out for a bit, they made an impression on each other, but they weren't really close friends. Their goodbye just felt like two people who kind of barely knew each other saying, "I'll see you later," and that was it. This, I feel like, is another problem of having not that much time in a live action show to really develop everything out. As I said in my previous review, episode 1 of One Piece live action is the most jam-packed episode in the series. There's so much to introduce and so much to go over. Over half of the East Blue Straw Hat crew is introduced in this episode. But by keeping Kobe continually involved in the story in the Syrup Village arc where he meets Luffy again, and also Kobe following along with Garp's adventures and trying to track down Luffy in general, it felt like they were able to give Luffy and Kobe more moments to push off of each other and play off of each other and establish more of that bond between the two characters, while also giving Kobe and Helmeppo more time to grow and develop and form their friendship. The same thing I feel for Kobe and Luffy's relationship, where it feels more natural, they're gaining a natural respect for each other, and by the time that they actually depart, by the time they actually say goodbye at the end of season 1, that feels really earned. It feels like a better goodbye than what Luffy and Kobe had in the manga when they said goodbye and they didn't see each other for, I'm assuming we're not going to see Kobe until Water 7, if they ever do get to adapt Water 7 in live action. But it'll be a few seasons. It'll be a very long time until we'll see those two characters again. But it was great to see them in that area together, to have them have that time to develop and grow that relationship. There's a couple adaptational changes I want to get into in terms of the villains in a moment, but I do want to just briefly touch on a few things that I thought were really good Easter eggs. One is the story of Nolan the Liar. Nami telling the story of Nolan the Liar to Zoro while Zoro is passed out after fighting Mihawk. I think that's just a wonderful way to fold that in, to, you know, to give a little hint for, I'm assuming, season 3 of the series, you know, inshallah that we get a season 3. You know, it does really go to show how deep the One Piece world is, that they can just add in these moments and they can be great foreshadowing. This is probably going to be one of the smaller things. I don't know how many other people really notice this. One of my favorite little small moments that live action Luffy does is that in the mansion, in Kaya's mansion, when he's investigating the poison soup, he's eating a chicken leg, right? And he puts the chicken leg in his pocket, which reminded me of the gag in the Enies Lobby arc where Luffy is just stuffing a bunch of meat into his pockets. Just, that's where he stores it. He needs pocket meat. It's his food. It's food for later. And that's just a perfect character moment for Luffy. That's exactly what he would do, is when he's in the middle of eating something and he goes to look at something else, he's gonna shove that food right into his pockets. It's small, it's minuscule, you probably didn't notice it, but I noticed it, and I loved this little reference here. I don't know who did that, but that's perfect. Aneki, just stuff more food into your pockets, that's where it goes. This is more of something about what got cut, but I am sad that Hachin got cut. I know Steve Medea had an interview where he talked about this and explained that, you know, that was cut due to budgetary reasons, which makes total sense. That would be a nightmare to actually try to get an octopus man to fight Zoro on screen. It does mean that Zoro doesn't get any really cool fights on his own in the Arlong section of the story, which is fine, I guess, because he had a whole like major fight with Mihawk a couple episodes earlier. So it's not like he hasn't had time in the season to establish he's got great fights and he can fucking kick ass, but it is a bit sad that you don't have that one-on-one fight, but you know, what can you do? I'm genuinely surprised that they got the Zoro Mihawk fight to work. Like, I've looked at some of the behind the scenes stuff on the actual pre-fight choreography that they were doing to like test it, and I'm just shocked that they actually got that all to work, that they got that to look as good as it did, because there's no way that it would make any sense for someone with 3 full-length katanas to not be able to cut someone who's just using a tiny little necklace sword. And they make it work, and they make it feel so believable. Really excellent stunt work that they did here. Choreography was insane throughout the series, but this is one of the moments that really just shows how much level of detail they're putting into it and how faithful they're being to the manga when I didn't even think they would be faithful in that moment. I think Mihawk in general was done probably the best in this series. If you're just looking at like his introduction was really anime. Some of the most anime shit I've ever seen made into live action, and it worked. It all worked. It's insane that it all worked, and it also gave a good moment to cut out one of the least memorable characters of the East Blue Saga. The villain I remember absolutely the least, which is Don Krieg. Don Krieg was taken out like a bitch against Mihawk, and, you know, kind of deserved, to be honest. You know, it does, again, rob Sanji of a lot of moments and Zeph of a lot of moments of the Baratier being assaulted by the remnants of this big crew that almost went into the Grand Line but was bitch slapped out of it, and you lose a lot of that arc. But to be honest, the Don Krieg fight, especially the Luffy versus Don Krieg aspects of the Baratier arc, was actually my least favorite fight of the East Blue Saga. Is that bad to say? I didn't really care for it. I didn't, and it's the one I'm most okay with missing in a rewatch. Throughout this video and my previous video, I am very understanding to the creators and what they had to cut and how they had to make the manga fit into the live action series. I think the live action series as a standalone show is pretty good and stands, you know, most people are going to enjoy this here. There are some parts of it that I think fall flat because it is trying to pull on emotional threads that are in the manga that had more backing to them in the manga because of the things that had to be cut that in the live action aren't there, so the moments feel a little more flat than they would. Right? You have characters like Usopp who don't get their moment, but I still feel like we'll be getting their moments later on in the series where they'll be able to actually fully more set up Usopp's strengths and weaknesses as they go along in the series, so I feel like that'll be okay and it'll be fine, and they can introduce this more as like a B plot with some of these characters where they have a little bit more of their problems brought more into the light. And once you're past the introduction for so many characters, you're gonna have more characters you're gonna introduce, but you know, when you're past the introduction for a lot of your lead characters, you can add in a little bit more of their problems into other scenes and into other storylines and make that work as well. So again, there are absolutely problems with how the live action adapted a few different parts of this story. Problems that I think make it a little weaker than it should be, but overall, it's still a really masterfully done adaptation because adapting something like One Piece into a live action setting is still not something I thought was possible. I've seen it a few more times here. I still don't know how they did it, and I'm really glad that they got it done. So, you know, big cheers to everyone involved in the team. They made a faithful adaptation of One Piece work, even with all the changes to the story. Oda approved changes to the story. It all worked. Season 2 has been confirmed by Netflix, so now once the writers and actors strike is eventually ended, and the writers and actors are given the demands that they deserve, because it's deserved. And if I see a few more anti-union goons in my comments section again, how can you be on the side of studios? You can claim that you hate everything that a studio does, but then you're just gonna get on your hands and knees and lick the boots of the billionaires who don't know what the hell they're doing and just take advantage of all the actual creative people that make the shows and media that you enjoy. It's like saying, no, I don't want Oda to get all the money from their work. I want Toei Animation to get it. I want Shueisha to get it, or fucking Weekly Jump to get all the money for the work, and Oda to get pennies. That's what I want. It's such a weird thing to say especially when you're a One Piece fan. Like, of all the manga and anime to be a fan of, the one that you're gonna just suck the boots of the celestial dragons of is a One Piece fan. Like, when Luffy punched the celestial dragon in the face, did you cry? Like, what are you doing? Like, what mentality is this? It's such peasant behavior. Grow up. This also goes to people in my previous comment section on the original One Piece live action video who said that One Piece wasn't woke. One, what the f are you talking about? If you just take season 1 of the One Piece live action series, it deals with one, the characters all being from different races, creeds, and backgrounds, and also the series having one of its characters, one of its main villains, talking about how fishmen have historically been prejudiced against and enslaved, and how this is evil and a problem, and has led to them having their own supremacist ideas against humans. Like, these kind of ideas are already forming in season 1 of the live action series, and if you're going to take an idea like that, even like if you say something like that, do you even know anything about the One Piece manga in general? It's like people in the modern anime scene who get so mad, so furious about the idea that a character who's attractive, like Yamato, is a man. Yamato identifies by he, him pronouns. Everyone calls him by he, him pronouns. He identifies as a man. He identifies as Odin, but he also uses he, him pronouns, which every single character uses, and when they make that mistake, are then corrected, they are a man. This is what they say. Whether you want to interpret that whatever way it is, that is what they are, right? One Piece has so many trans characters and so many queer characters in it. Like, just Bon Clay and the entire Alabaster arc, Bon Clay is the singular villain character that is shown to have a close relationship with the Straw Hat crew, and is shown to switch sides so quickly to the Straw Hat side. Maybe it was out of self-interest, but also self-sacrifice for the people he cared about. Like, the entire Impel Down arc has an entire society, people who work with Luffy's dad, the Revolutionary Army, some of the biggest heroes in the entire series, as has been said multiple times and has been made clear by the fact that they oppose the world government, and the world government is the biggest villain in the series, next to Blackbeard, right? That entire society, that entire group of revolutionaries are all very queer-coded, especially Ivankov. I swear to God, it is another example of how illiterate people are when they can't read a series that has very crystal clear messages, and they just cannot, for some reason, begin to accept them. It's sad. It's sad, but whatever. I wanted to get that off my chest at the end here, because if you watched this whole video and you agreed with any of those people, then fuck you. I got your watch time anyway, bitch. What you gonna do? Anyway, sorry. Wanted to get that all off my chest there. Just something that I care about personally. Thank you all for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support I've had on the One Piece video. It's meant a lot to me that video has done so well, and look out for other videos coming from me soon. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we get the second season of One Piece live action very, very soon. And hopefully when we do get Tony Chopper, he is a Muppet. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, a great night, or whatever it is you're having. And stay rad.